Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is Business Balance, the magic of organizing. My name is Clara Shook. I'm the event coordinator with the West Business Development Center. This webinar is brought to you by the West Business Development Center. We are a nonprofit funded by the Small Business Administration, a federal organization, and we host two centers. We host the Women's Business Center, and we also host the Small Business Development Center for Mendocino and Lake County. West is funded through federal, California state, and local government grants. In exchange for these grants, we provide free confidential business services to small business owners and entrepreneurs during every stage of their business development. So whether you're just starting out with an idea or you've been in business for many years, we want to be a resource you can call upon when you have any questions or need help with your business. Now, we help through several different ways. We offer no cost one-on-one counseling and advising. We have a whole slew of advisors who are each experts in their own field of business, whether you need help with marketing or accounting or HR, organizing. We pretty much run the full gamut, and we are here to help you one-on-one because no one business is alike. We also offer low-cost workshops and free webinars like the one you're at today, as well as loan packets and loan advising. So if you have a small business loan and you have questions, or you're about to apply for a small business loan and you have questions, we probably can help you with those questions. And that's basically how our funding is used. If you'd like to learn more about us, please feel free to visit our website and hit the Get Started button, or check out our live workshop page, which is our live webinar page now. And we'd be happy to help you. You can also call us on the phone as well. I do want to let everyone know that we are recording, and I will be emailing a link to the recording as well as a copy of the slide deck out on Monday. And so you all will be able to check out your inbox on Monday and get that info. I think that's all for now. So I'm going to pass things off to our amazingly talented instructor. Take it away, Cody.
All right. Thank you, Clara. Wow, it's a pleasure to be here. And I see Mount Shasta in the house, and Seattle, and all of you folks here in California. It's great to be here, and thank you for having me. My name is Cody Strauss, and my business is called Workspace Organization. And I have been doing this since I was, probably since I could walk, and I wanted to help my mom find her keys as well as my bottle. So I have been organizing for a very long time, and I have a 3-year-old now, so I am definitely still organizing. That is for sure. But I was the kid that had messy parents, and I needed a clean desk before I could get anything done. So I have great sympathy for that sense of desiring to have order, and it not always being just simple and available. So I both want to make order happen and organize, and I can also relate to it sometimes just being so much. So I am here to walk you all through the best tips that I know, and I hope that you get something out of this tonight. So Claire, go ahead and switch to the next slide. So reasons that I like to organize. I like to organize because I think that systems are super helpful. They make life easier, and they make day-to-day life easier, but they also make the bigger picture easier. So the systems that we put together in our lives do a lot for us in the micro and the macro picture. I also like organic structure. So both the word organic, meaning it's sort of naturally evolving, and structure, so something that we impose. So when I organize with folks, I say, how do you move through your house? How do you naturally maneuver? What do you do when you're getting out the door? How do you come back in the house? What are the primary things you do in your space? So in a sense, I like to see how a human inhabits their environment. And so it's something for you all to be thinking about, is how do you move through your own home? How do you move and function in your own space? Because that's how you can start thinking about, from an organic sensibility, how to bring and impose more structure to how you already naturally move, and make things happen, get things, put things away, prepare meals, put away mail, hang up your keys, or don't hang up your keys. And I also love organizing in a sense so that it's not just about being pretty, but so that there's an underlying sense of health and well-being. So sometimes, people say, before guests come over, I just shove everything into the closets or into paper bags and under the bed. But what I think is the prettiest, sexiest space is to open up closets and just see beauty and order and big labels and clear bins and things not too full, and it's easy to pull things out, put it back. If you need to get a battery or replace a light bulb or grab a screwdriver or put away extra paper towels when you went to Costco, like that, there's places for all those things. It makes my muscles and my neck and back relax. So I think that those are some of the reasons why I like to organize. And so that we can feel integrated in our lives, that our spaces support us. So go ahead and take it to the next slide, Clara. So as we begin this workshop today, what I want to do is let you know I'm going to be covering two main areas in your life, perhaps anyway. One is your workspace. So it could be a home office. It could be the couch where you have your laptop. It could be an actual workspace elsewhere. And then I'll also cover some basics of home organizing. And the reason why I am doing both in this particular workshop is because, you guessed it, they're pretty overlapped these days in our COVID quarantine, work from home, pandemic living. So it doesn't really make sense to just talk about offices. It doesn't really make sense to just talk about houses, because there's a whole lot of connection between those two environments at this time in our lives. So make sense of this as it does in your own life, where these things live, and the specifics of your particular workspace, home space situation. So let's begin by having a moment to take in your own current workspace. So this is where you get stuff done. And it's whether you're employed and you're working from home, whether you have your own business, whether you don't have work and you're just leading your life and getting the logistics taken care of managing life, household, family, or just your own personal basics. Think about that space, and then go ahead and we're going to spend a few minutes on these questions. We don't have a long time for the questions, so just kind of see what comes to mind and jot some notes down. If you don't have a pen and some paper, that might be nice to have. Or, you can just think these things in your mind as well. And as we go, you're also welcome to send any questions in the chat box. I think Clara mentioned this. I will try to make time to field questions, but if anything specific comes up, you're welcome to send that in a chat. So, Claire, let's move on to the next slide. And we're going to jump right into workflow. This is sort of the quick and dirty, the Cliff's Notes of how to put together a desk or a workspace that is as efficient as possible. And you can apply this, like I said, to wherever you work. So this might be an actual desk, or this could be just a zone that you work. Now, it is for a place that you don't have to put away, for example, at dinner. So that if you're setting up on the dining room table and then you have to move everything by the time you eat, this doesn't per se apply to that, although you could still use this system. You just may need to find a space to place some of these actual objects. Now, a disclaimer here is that this is not a technology or software organizing presentation. That's not so much what I do, but what I have found is that, whatever you use that works for you, great. But in the old days, we used to say, in the future, where, when we don't have any more paper. So essentially, what we want to think about is that so we're in a time where we still do have paper. So this workflow that I'm going to speak to addresses some of the flow of the paper and the work items that come through our life, and how to sort them and file them and put them away. So the idea here is that you have one general space where things come in and land. So if it's mail, if it's receipts, if it's some work papers that you need to deal with, some files that you need to put away, some reading that you have to do, anything work-related or otherwise home logistics, it really should land in one place rather than on the kitchen counter and over on the desk, and it's also on the table and it's in the chair because you want to read it. It should center in one spot. This can be a little inbox as demonstrated, which shouldn't be too tall because you don't want it to get too full. But the idea is it all goes into one place, and then in a separate time, now it can be the same moment or it can be separate, you address what's in the inbox, because you might just come home, slam all the mail down, and need to attend to life. But what this workflow suggests is put them down in the place where you will go and sort them. And then you will do your sorting. Now, so this is loosely based on David Allen's Getting Things Done method. I've kind of tailored it over the years to work for my own clients and myself. But that's a way to learn more about this kind of system. So when you're going through your inbox, there's basically only 3 places paper can go, or these items can go. One is it gets tossed. It's trash, shred, or recycling. And it seems obvious, but it's not a bad idea to have your containers close by. Even if you're like, well, I only have to walk over here to recycle, and then I should go over here for trash, and well, I guess shredding, I think I put in a shoebox over there. Really just make that super simple and easy for you, so it's something you can do without thinking, and when your energy is low, like walking in the door. So the next place that paper could go is that if that piece of paper is something you need to act on, whether it is a bill you need to pay, whether it's the DMV that you need to send some money to, it's your aunt that you want to write back, it's a business card that you want to put into your contacts, or it's a gardening tool from a catalog that you want to order. If that piece of paper that you're holding is something that you need to act on, it is a to-do. It's an action item. So you want to have both your business version and your personal files available, or a place to put those action items. So for your business, you might have, just general to-dos, billing, active projects and active clients, your contacts, receipts, that you're logging, taxes, that kind of thing. So those are examples of things to have folders for, or a place. I like to say an upright file folder, so that stuff can go right in files, and even go ahead and splurge and get nice files, because these will be the ones that are out and can be pretty. So if you're working at a kitchen table, it can be a little file box that then you put away on a shelf nearby, or that sort of thing. You can also do the same thing for your personal action files. So making out the files or the action items that are pretty common in your life, probably bill pay, to-do, pending items, calendar and events that could be coming up in your life, things to read. Coupons and gift certificates is one of these funny things. I read that once, that's a great thing to have a file for, and I thought, well, I don't really have any coupons or gift certificates. And then I discovered that both myself and so many of my clients have so many little gift certificates floating around of like a massage that somebody gave them like 2 years ago. So anyway, it's not a bad idea to have something like that, or just find out how much you actually have. So these action files are probably, or I should say, the actions that you have in your life, generally speaking, only represent about 10% or less of the paper that you have in your life. So it's not a lot of stuff, but it is the stuff that you need to act on. And there's also ways to make it so that there is kind of the urgent stuff or the, at some point get to. So we have toss, we have action, and action is out, and it's something that is near your desk, near your computer, near where you work. And then the third option is that it's reference. So if that piece of paper is simply something that you may need to refer to, but it requires no action, then that is filing. And basically filing, can be divided into personal life and business. But I would also say that there's kind of current filing, so things that you need to file more regularly. So let's say you get some of your bills still on paper because it's helpful for taxes and for your business. Or you get utility bills and you like to actually review them. But then when you're done, you're not going to shred them or get rid of them yet this current year, this calendar year, tax year. So there's current filing stuff, files that you would go in and out of more regularly, or, health files, or, something like that. And then there's your archive files. So those are all the files that, all of the paperwork that you need to hold on to in case Uncle Sam comes a knocking, or, if you're going to sell your car or your house. So it's more long-term storage. And ideally that stuff, can be scanned and then shredded, or that which cannot be. I think it's great to not take up file drawer space for that, but clean out the file drawers, put those into banker's boxes, and put those away, and put those in kind of level 3 storage, or I should say storage that's not taking up real estate in your office, in your workspace, or really like in too much of your visual space. So that is a very quick way of explaining how the route of action items and reference items coming into your life. Now, what I do when I am working with a client is I say, let's go gather all the papers that are in your workspace right now and just put them in a big pile. And now let's go through them together. So what can just get tossed? What is action? And make a stack of the action. And what kind of action is that? What thing do you need to do specifically with that item? It might be something you want to order. It might be a note for you to remember to go look up that website. Doesn't matter. Make a file for that. Could just be to do, or it could be a category of action that you normally do in your life. So separating the action, and then separating out what your reference is. So what kind of filing is it? And then get it filed. Some tips for making filing not so awful is to keep your files from getting too full. So the general rule of thumb of 2/3 full is a good way to work. So never getting so full that you can't actually scoot the file open and drop something in. Okay, so let's see. Let me come to these questions. Oh, and then lastly, of course, is that everything that needs to leave your workspace should have an exit zone. So whether that's an outbox or just a spot where you put things, you need to return something to somewhere else in the house. You need to put it in your car, in your purse, or in your work bag. It gets returned, etc. Mail that needs to get put in the mail. So just really recognizing that there's an inflow, a way to manage and put things where they belong, and then a spot for things to leave your workspace. All right, let me have a look here at this. Where are you supposed to put all this stuff when you need a clear desk to work? And this stuff is kind of ugly. Yes, there is a fair bit of ugliness in office organizing stuff. So I think that it's a really good idea to have really, truly two spaces for your workflow. One is where you actually work. So in the modern era, that typically means in a comfortable place where you can set up your laptop. That's fine. But that's only fine as long as you have the paired space, which is the place where your chargers live, where the ugly action files live, where the stapler lives, or where the pen lives, or where the extra doohickey lives that goes with your various devices. So I believe that your workspace, it can be in the same place as where you keep these things, but a clear desk is a really important place to land at and get work done at. So I recommend having those two spaces really identified for you. A surface where you believe you have enough space to open a laptop or have a computer and get out a bill and pay it, so that whole piece of paper gets opened, or whatever it is that you personally work with. If you're an architect, it might need to be bigger space, etc. But it's enough space where your body can physically maneuver the items that you are working with ease. And additionally, there are the places for the supplies and the paper. Because as I said, even when we used to say in the future, we will have no paper and no things, we will be these amazing robots. It's not like that. We still have a lot of things and a lot of papers. So our workspaces need to recognize that. Okay. All right, so let's move on to productivity. So these are just a few basics. So when you have your inbox, it's a great habit to get into to empty your inbox every week. Now, again, if it's not an inbox, that's okay. But if it's, let's say it's where your mail lands, or it's where you kind of stack all the things you need to deal with, make a goal to see the bottom of that inbox or that in zone every week, so that you don't feel already stymied by the volume that's staring at you. The second thing is productivity people, and this is not my main forte. My main suit is working on the specifics of productivity. But what I can say is that I read about it. I keep up with what the general ideas are, and there's a few thoughts about it. One is that we do really well with one large uninterrupted chunk of time where we are not interrupted by our phone or checking email, checking our social media, but where we actually do not look up, or rather where we focus specifically on an action item. So that could be in your folders of your to-dos. That could be a thing that you're working on. Of a solid 50 minutes, that the brain likes to have that much time. Now, I work with a lot of folks who have ADD, ADHD, and 50 minutes is way too long, and 2 25-minute of uninterrupted sessions is far more productive with a little break in between. So some say, this doesn't mean this is all the work that you do at all in your week. Of course, we need to spend more than 50 minutes. But if we're talking about keeping your action items in a manageable volume, then this is a way to say, okay, I need to take care of this. These are the things that I'm looking at. And it's a way to really keep your action items at bay. The inbox should not pile up above its container walls. So often, I remember I used to look at inboxes and be like, why are they such a funny shape? But it's so that you don't have that much opportunity to let the papers pile up above. Now, they say it takes, for every inch of paper, that's an hour of organizing. So you really don't want it to pile up too far. So as I said to Gwen's question, having a place to store your office supplies, and especially because they're often, non-aesthetic items, having them in a nice and easy to access cupboard, shelf, drawer, or just zone in your space that, again, it doesn't have to be where you work, because you can grab the things you need to go and work. But they need a place, because if they don't have a place, then they end up all over the place. So giving them a home is one of the best ways to not see them. So keeping files at 2/3 full is a good way to make it more ergonomic and attractive and appealing to file, because we all know that filing is just one of those things that we don't like doing. So make it easy for yourself, make it non-stressful. And just as a kind of random miscellaneous piece, it's not a bad idea to photocopy all the items that are in your wallet and then store it somewhere safe. Because if you've ever had your wallet lost or stolen, it's a big hassle. So just a little random tidbit in there. Okay, let's take a pause. And Clara, can you go to my picture of me? Might already be on there, I can't tell.
Yeah, just give me a sec.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. And so I would love to answer any questions for folks. Oh, you're going back to that. Oh, yeah, no, I just meant, so can you all see me? Am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Yes, now I see what you mean. I'm sorry. It's Friday. You'll have to forgive me.
No worries. Hi, I don't know if I've been live yet, but hello and greetings. So I wanted to just ask if there were any questions thus far on office organizing. I know it's a lot fast, but just thought I'd give a moment for any questions.
Yes, we've got a question in the Q&A from Kristen. Kristen says, I seem to dump papers on my desk until they become a pile. Advice?
Yes, well, I would say dump those piles of those papers into your inbox, and then create your action, your to-do items, and then have a place to file and see how much is actually left. So once you toss, and then once you divide those papers into what's a to-do, what is truly a to-do, not the kind of, like, sometimes we're like, oh, I need this as a reference for taxes at one point, or, that kind of thing. But like, I really want to read this, or this is something I need to take care of. That's a to-do, and it has a category. That category might be just a general to-do, but it might be business to-dos, or it might be a health to-do, house to-do. Make a place for it and have that out and available. That doesn't go in a file drawer. The other items that are all like, this is like something I should keep and hold on to, these are financial records, those things get filed, So that's what I would say. That's how to deal with that stack of papers, is toss it, action item or reference item. Anything else at this moment?
No other questions at this time. I'd love to ask my own question.
Yes, go for it.
What's your advice for studio apartments when you're in a tiny space trying to work and live at home at the same time?
If I could wave a magic wand, what I would do with a studio space, or especially any small spaces, is add storage wherever possible, and like good, efficient storage. Because what's happening a lot of times is that in a studio space where there aren't doors to close and there aren't rooms to go and hide and do your own thing and get your own space, we're often overstimulated by the volume of things that we're seeing. And so when you have cabinet doors that you can close, it really helps ease the nervous system so that you're not seeing so much. So the idea is to be able to create a home for everything. I mean, that old adage, a place for everything and everything in its place, really still holds true. So that in a studio space, the goal is to see less. So whenever possible, having good storage and getting creative, smart storage, so that the spaces that you're using and inhabiting and living in aren't reminding you all the time of all the many, 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 many things you have, and the many to-dos that are probably embedded in those things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We've got another couple of questions in the Q&A. If we have time now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jennifer asks, what do you suggest for a home inbox? Keys, mail, random stuff, packages, car items, etc. We tend to use the kitchen counter or bench.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one of the main systems that I work on with folks. So, so I grew up in Vermont. There's a lot of farms in Vermont, and most people have a mudroom in their house. And the reason is because farmers would come in, have big muddy boots on and big pails and things they're carrying, they need to set it down. So, somehow in the modern era, and especially without so many family farms, we think we don't need a mudroom or the equivalent, which is to say the space where we come in, we land, and we have all the things that we're carrying from our car, from our life, from work, from the mailbox. And we still do. We probably have a bag with Tupperware in it. We have a return that needs to go. It's not quite back to the store. It's like goes back to FedEx or to UPS to mail back to Amazon or whatever. But there are still things and stuff. So it's a great question, and it's something that I like to do in every home is say, where do you land and where do you leave the house? And is there a little table there? And on that table, is there a place to hang your keys or a little bowl for keys, a place for a wallet or a purse if that's where you do leave those things, maybe even a charger, and outgoing mail, returns, the thing you need to go put in your car. So I think that it's been a bit of a mistake to get in the modern era to get rid of the mudroom. And so whenever possible and however possible, making some variation, some equivalent of that in our lives. There's probably a better term than a mud room, but a stuff landing and going room. So yes, find a way to just identify what are the things, and maybe even the next time you're going in or out of the door, literally take stock of what you are holding. I have one of the major things that I do in people's entryways is I put a pair of scissors and a pair of packing tape, because opening boxes is a big thing. And then also taking boxes back out for returns. So like having shipping tape, having stamps there, having a little recycling bag. A lot of times those boxes are so big, it's not like we go and put them in our recycling in the kitchen, but we can have a stack of paper grocery bags so that we can try to wrangle that recycling, put it in the grocery bag, and the next time we head out to the curb, we can bring it. So without seeing more of your space, Jennifer, which I'd love to, that's the best I could say for now. Great, so Clara, is there another question?
There's one more, if we may. Yes. Laura asks, I seem to forget how I label things. Like I have an antique title for file container, and then I turn around and look at it a month later, and I'm like, what is this for? And then it's like, why would I have called it that? Do you have any recommendations on naming files of your action items or examples?
Yeah, great question. So one of the major things that I would say is you want to go with broad categories. I think that's the first thing. If it's too specific and it's maybe a little too quirky or apropos of the moment, then it's true. It may it may be forgotten in a little while. So what was will you read the first part of the question again? Or read the question again, sir?
Yes. The actual question was, do you have recommendations on naming files of your action items?
Yeah. So I think, it's generally speaking, I try to make organizing 3-year-old proof. So if you imagine like a Montessori classroom or kindergarten classroom, it's kind of like water toys, sand toys, marking utensils, so it's like this idea of make it super easy for your brain. And even if it's like a little kid trying to find something, you want to make it so easy. And so with those action items, I would say put them into the category. What is the action that you need to take? So is it something you want to craft with? So it's craft. Is it something that you need to spend money on? So it's either bill pay or to buy or purchasing. If it's correspondence. So try to think in terms of bigger, broader categories so that you're doing almost no work trying to hunt it down. Okay, great. Well, let's move on to the next slide of home organizing. I know you got to shuffle a little bit there, Clara, but we'll now move into home organizing. This is really the heart and soul of what I do. I love working on homes, and I sincerely hope to bring some help and assistance to all of you living in your homes, perhaps far more than you ever thought you would be at this time. We are really living in our homes. So, the first thing I want to share is something I have been working with for a long time, which is a really simple number system. So, if you can give a number, which is essentially a prioritizing number, to everything that in your home, it is either a one, you absolutely love it, or you use it all the time. So, a toothbrush, your cell phone, the shoes that you're wearing these days, silverware, the mug that you drink your coffee in the morning. These are all things that you use daily, if not weekly. Number twos are all the things that you use sometimes. So a can opener, a colander, extra printer paper, the shampoo that you're going to use once this one runs out. So these are level twos. And then level threes are all the things that you need to own, but you don't need to have, but you probably won't access them anytime within the week, the month, or even within 6 months. So it's all of your holiday items when they're out of season. It is these reference files when it is when they're ready for deep storage or to be archived. It can be, it's not always, it can be memorabilia items that you really love and care about and have chosen to keep, but they can be in a box with a heart label on there. So it's snow tires in July. It's all of this stuff that's basically, I'm a Vermonter, that's why I use that example, but it's all of the things that you are not going to use anytime within several months to 6 months, even to a year, but you do need to own it, and you're choosing to own it. So those are the three things to keep. The fourth is all of the stuff that you should let go of. And this is like if you had the help of an organizer, if you were truly in your higher self, if you had all the time and the money to sit down and go through those boxes or go through those things, that this is the stuff that you would let go of. So a tip to this numbering system is that number ones give you energy. They're like, look at my house. It's efficient. It's useful. I can find my charger when I need to. Or like, look at this beautiful thing, this lovely quilt that somebody made me, and it's here on my chair, and it makes me happy when I see it. It genuinely makes me happy. It's not one of those things that I think I should like or should love because I spent a lot of money on it or someone gave it to me and I should enjoy seeing it. It's really, truly the things that we love having. Or, like I said, there's super practical things that we need all the time. Those give us energy. Number twos tend to be pretty neutral. So I don't sing out with joy when I find my can opener because I need to open a can every now and again, but it sure feels good that I can find it when I do need to. And threes and fours tend to take away our energy. So they tend to sap us of our vitality because those threes are not things that you need to see in your home frequently. And those fours are basically to-dos that are nagging at you. And maybe it's a big pain to get rid of that paint because do you have to take it to hazmat? Do you have to dry it out? It's like hard to know how to get rid of some stuff, which is why it's great to work with an organizer or have a buddy or plan it, put it in your calendar, because getting rid of stuff is an effort. And so whenever you bring anything into your house, think to yourself, how will this also leave my house? And, alongside, is it okay to know that this is being made and will eventually go into landfill? So that's, the environmental piece. But tip number one, number everything. So in your life, and you might find that there are very few things that are actual number ones. So that's good to know because it is ones and twos that should be around you. Number one should be the most ergonomic. Twos can be the drawer below or the drawer above, or like you kind of got to reach to get to that. And threes should be in boxes with nice big labels somewhere else where your brain and your nervous system and your psyche do not have to process it. Okay, so Number 2, so this is a nerdy acronym, but it's quite useful. So it's kind of the arc or the trajectory of organizing. So let's say you want to imagine any room in your home that you want to organize. The first thing I would say is remember the game of memory? Just play the game of memory. Sort likes with likes. So is this something that needs to go back to the kitchen? Are these craft items? Are these gifts? Is this DVDs and media? Is this technology related? Is this to-dos, weird to-dos that you need to go through? So basically just categorize everything. And the good thing about doing that is it takes the pressure off. You don't have to know what to do with it yet. Just put it into a category. So you can use paper bags, you can use bins, you can use boxes. You can go out and buy something fancy for it. I have a client that I'm working with right now. She bought very attractive white banker's boxes, and we've basically put almost every single thing in her entire house into a banker's box. It's just white. It's like they're attractive from the Container Store. She probably spent too much money on these, but we are organizing her entire house by putting everything in these clean white banker's boxes. So and then she does the next piece, which is purging or pruning or letting go. So when she sees all the things that she has, she can be like, I don't need all of these. I can let this, and this go, because she actually sees them all together. It's not like, oh, but I think I have vases over there and vases over there, or I think I have some office supplies or some art supplies over there, but So once you see what you have and you can inventory what you have, it's often a lot easier to let it go. You also end up finding out what kind of real volume you have in your life. So sometimes we have no idea how many books we had or how many art supplies. So sorting, then purging, and then assigning. So where in the home should this stuff live? So do all of your houses have a place for house utility, a place for those batteries, those tools, the flashlights, that sort of thing? So assigning a place for this stuff. And, as somebody mentioned early on, where do I put those ugly office supplies that I really do need, but I don't want them in my hopefully inspired workspace? So assigning the home, zoning it is what I often think of as like, let's find the zones for where these things live. Also great for you, Clara, for a small space is you really have to zone it well. Containerize. So once you know where those zones are, what kind of containers do you need? Do you need to just go to Target and get some plastic bins and store this stuff, in the back of the closet? Or do you need to, is this in a beautiful space? It needs to be a built-in. You're going to spend some money on it. Or, can you go get something at IKEA or Home Depot that's just going to, fit the boxes? So that's when you know what kind of things you need to put the containers on. Equalize, I needed an E word here, but it essentially means maintain. So how do you keep these systems working? So that's tip number 2, space. So tip number 3 is that the golden rule of organizing is that you don't want spaces such as your shelves, a drawer that you pull out, a shelf that you put your mugs or your toothpaste and your floss on. You do not want it more than 2/3 full. And people sometimes say, what? But it's a surface. I want to fill it as to the max. But what happens is our nervous systems get anxious when things are too full. And the idea is to give yourself this idea of there is abundance. We have enough. We've stocked the pantry, but there's still enough to put things away. So when you empty the dishwasher, can you put it all away? When you fold all your towels and all your sheets, and all your socks, this is a good one. Like when you've done the laundry, can you put all your socks in the drawer and then close the drawer with ease? So if you can do that, great. But the idea here is that to work with a 2/3 full rule, and that is what makes our nervous systems feel safe and relaxed. And that's what we want, more of that. So tip number 4 is, when I work with a client, like for example, this morning, I gave my clients each, both the husband and the wife and the 2 teenage girls, I gave them a little piece of paper and it said, intention for the space. And what that is something they can hang up in their room somewhere, any of the rooms. It can be your bedroom, it can be your office, it can be your living room. But what the idea is to ask yourself, what is the experience that I want to have in this space? Do I want to feel relaxed? Do I want to feel creative? Do I want to feel productive and focused? Do I want to feel healthy and slim and make my meals feeling that way? Do I want to feel connected to my partner? Do I want to get deep rest here? So notice and identify, what is your heart's longing? What is your desire? What is the practical need of that space? And then see, what ways does the space already support that and what doesn't. And so that's why I also asked the question of, so both the feeling and the quality of experience. So what's your intention? What's your vision? What's your, like I said, your heart's longing for this space to be for you? And then also, what are the practicalities? So, when you walk in the door, I want to feel happy to come home. I want to feel like my family can come and greet me. I want to also be able to hang up my coat. I want to be able to set down the things that I'm holding while my 3-year-old jumps in my arms. So it's sort of a twofold question, and sometimes one or the other feels more pressing. But it's the idea is to ask yourself, how do you want to, what experience do you want to have in that space, both experientially and also practically. And number 5 is stop getting stuff. No more stuff. We have too much stuff. Buy secondhand. Facebook Marketplace is great. Craigslist, Nextdoor, Free Cycle. There's lots of places. We already have manufactured enough things to last all of us forevermore. So whenever possible, just get it secondhand. And in the times that you can't, be clear that you're bringing this thing into your home, and you're making the choice to bring it into your home, and it's a conscious choice. And so you'll take care of it, you'll find the place for it, and then maybe at some point it will be time to move it along. So, I don't think I breathed that whole time. I'm packing in a lot. So we have a few moments to take some questions. Clara, do you see any questions? Have any popped in as I've been rattling on?
No questions at this moment.
Okay. Well, one thing I'm actually seeing here in my own little graphic that I made was a little reminder for myself. There's 2 things that in the tip number 4, tasks and experiences for each room, is that I often have a pair of scissors and a trash can in like almost all of my spaces, including my closet. And like, for example, if I go to the thrift store and I bring home a sweater and I want to cut the tag off. I want to cut that little plastic piece off. And so I need scissors and I need a trash can. And I've found that happens in so many spaces. So it's a practical question, and it can be a really deep question in terms of getting your systems really dialed in so that you have what you need in all of your spaces, or at least in the majority of them. So little personal tip there. Okay. Well, let's now give you all an opportunity. Claire, you can go to the next slide. So I want to give you all a moment. I'm going to stop talking and going 1,000 miles an hour here and give you an opportunity to think about your home or your home office, and think about 3 main goals you would like to accomplish. Now that might be as simple as, I need an inbox. So you can put inbox. I want to complete that by the end of next week, or by the 3rd of January. What do I need to do? I need to go to the store or go online or, look around and acquire one. Or it might be a slightly more complicated or complex, layered goal. I want to create a better workspace, or I want to clear out my guest room that's full of stuff and I want to turn it into an art space or my office. So take a moment to reflect on, what we've just been talking about, and think about 3 things that just pop into your mind. It might be 1, it might be 2, whatever you like, that you want to identify. And then a couple of tasks related to ensure it will get completed. And then when ideally / realistically, when you would like to have that completed by. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And I really do encourage you to think about how this might relate to your calendar. You can write it in your calendar or jot it down, or just as you think into this next few weeks or a few months or quarter of your life, when might this be a reality?
In the meantime, we do have a question in the Q&A, if now's all right.
Yes.
Lee asks, I get bogged down when sorting when I'm not sure what to do or where to put something, especially when I'm tired. Any tips, suggestions on how to do that?
Yeah. So Lee, is this related to just general house items or to office items in particular? You may or may not get a moment to respond to that, because there's slightly different answers that I'd say here. But what I would say for general house stuff, one of the things that you can do is make note of what kind of things you're putting away. So is it often that at the end of the day, it's stuff that needs to go to certain parts of the house? Is it all over the house? So you could have an area that's, a basket or a spot where you put things to kind of tote around to the different places that they belong. But in general, what I would say is truly the best answer to your question is, don't ever put something down, put it away. So if you are moving through your life, you're moving through your day, whenever you put something down, you're giving yourself a to-do. So think more in terms of, where is this going to go the next time I need to access it? So I have a box for house utility, for tools. There's a place, for example, some of my office supplies and filing right now, I just went and put on my desk to be filed and to be put away, because I was too tired to do it last night. It takes a little time to find the right file for that auto thing and that billing thing. So some things are a little more complex and take a little bit more thinking. And it's okay to pile them in their general area. But I think that really the best thing to do is make sure all those things have homes, and that as you're going through your day, do your best to just put them back right then and there. And if not, maybe have a little quick zone, which is like your put away zone. And then you can zip around and do it when you have more energy. All right. So any other questions?
No other questions at the moment. Lee responded back, it's for business and mail, sometimes paper.
Oh, business and mail. Yeah, so the reason for the inbox is that we often don't have the energy to both bring the mail and stuff in and put it down and sort it and put it away. That's too many things to do at once, which is why that workflow system is in place, which is landing, clean out your inbox once or twice a week, which is sorting. Again, you still haven't necessarily done any of the items per se. And then there's a third piece, which is then doing the action item. So yes, if you're tired and you want to come home and make dinner, by all means, put that stuff in the inbox and then sort it tomorrow morning, or maybe Tuesdays is your sorting day. Okay, great. I hope that answers your question. And I want to thank you all so much for attending. Clara, will you skip to or go to the book slide? A couple of resources that I really like. One is just good old-fashioned organizing books. Most of you have heard of Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I think it's a great book. There's also some other books here of some of my favorites. And then similarly, or I would say alternatively, there's also books about kind of sense of psychology and meaning of home. So there are a few offerings I put there as well. And lots more. There's lots out there on organizing. So for some books or websites work well, and for others, it's just getting down to doing it, making time in your calendar. So Claire, feel free to go to the last slide. So I want to thank you all so much for attending my class today. It's a pleasure to be able to share this passion of mine. And I want to give you all just the invitation to take this class as a prompt to find out if there is some time that you have to dig into one area of your home, to your office, to your life, they could really use some attention. I believe it is so life-giving and health-giving and vitality-giving when we spend some time to create effective, orderly spaces and organized systems in our lives. So blessings to all of you living in our homes, working in our homes, living in our offices, and all of the above. So thank you for attending my workshop, and happy organizing.
Thank you so much, Cody. This has been the perfect way to end a week, because now we all have big plans to organize our homes this weekend, or at least I know I do.
I'll be in spirit.
Thank you so much for putting all of these helpful tips and everything together. I'm personally a big fan and avid organizer, and there are tips here I've never thought of or considered, and so it's so wonderful to learn something new and to learn new tips. And I'm seeing a lot of love in the comments as well. So thank you so much. While I've got some attention, I do want to gently remind everyone who's listening that if you aren't already speaking with a West Center advisor, I highly recommend reaching out. As I said, we're a WBC and an SBDC. If you aren't in Mendocino or Lake County, that's okay. Anyway, you can call us and we will help put you in touch with your local SBDC or WBC. They are all across the continental US, and these centers are here for the small business owners and the entrepreneurs in our communities so that we can help you wherever you are in your business, whether you're just starting up with an idea or you've been in business for 15 or 20 years and you just need a little help with your taxes, which are coming up. We can help you with that and answer all of your questions and give you the most up-to-date information. So there's enough information about that. As I said before, I will be emailing a link to the recording as well as a copy of the handout and the slides out in the next couple of days. So keep your eye on your inbox for that. Cody, again, I want to say a big thank you for taking the time and putting all of this together. It's been truly a treat. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Clara, and thank you, Business West.
It's our pleasure. We hope to have you back for another Business Balance session again soon. All right. Well, that's all for now. Thank you all again so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing everyone at another one of our workshops. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.